A very good evening to you. I'm Lisa Lord, and in our news, a plan to resolve the Rock Hall squatting issue and other major announcements by the government. Back to school help for some deserving families. The Calypso monarch wants an abandoned aspect of the competition restored. And in sports, Jofra Archer takes his first test wicket as England hit back at Australia in the second Ashes match.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC Newsnight, starting now.
In our top stories, several major announcements were made by government yesterday during that post-cabinet media briefing. Last night we told you about a few of them, and tonight we bring you some of the other new developments. For that, we're joined by Lisa Broom in the Media Center. And Lisa, last night we heard about a new comprehensive youth program. Tell us about some of the other initiatives that were announced and the issues that were addressed.
Yes, Lisa. So let's start with an issue that has been plaguing successive governments. For many years, a number of individuals and families have been squatting at Rock Hall in St. Philip. Now we're hearing that the residents in this illegal settlement are to be relocated. So Prime Minister Motley says back in 2007 there were 96 unauthorized structures on the land, but that number had significantly increased over the past decade. And she believes this is of particular concern, not only because of the development's close proximity to the airport, but because the area was once home to a landfill. Now, the Prime Minister says households earning less than $15,000 per year will be provided with $25,000 grants to assist in their relocation.
For anybody who is below the poverty line, regardless of age, color, gender, status, the government of Barbados is committed to helping them. That is our position. But for anybody over the poverty line, then you have to help pay. Therefore, the government will create a loan fund that will assist in persons being able to borrow, and the government will identify lands for the relocation of these persons.
Well, Lisa, Prime Minister Motley says the Ministry of Housing, in conjunction with other government departments, will be conducting a social survey to gather as much information on the residents as possible. She says this will be followed by discussions with both the residents on an individual and a collective basis. The Prime Minister says government will also be moving to address issues of overcrowding in a number of communities.
The Pine and Wildy housing estates, there has to be a reduction in density at Silver Hill and Gall Hill, at Haynesville. Okay? But separate from that, persons, for example, in Barbados who are earning under $4,000 cannot afford to buy no land at $20 to $25 a square foot and then to build a house. And a party that knows what it is to introduce the Tenantries Freehold Purchase Act and to introduce subsidies for urban tenantries will not sit idly by, as we will not, and allow Barbadians to be deprived of the opportunities for housing in circumstances where they are most in need of it.
Well, the issue of crime and security also came up, with government indicating it is intensifying its efforts to stem the importation of illegal firearms through the Bridgetown port. Speaking against the backdrop of the 35th murder for the year, Attorney General Dale Marshall says his ministry has embarked on a series of well-thought-out strategies which he firmly believes are paying fruit. So the AG says government has made the necessary investments, including providing police with the tools to do the job, and he says they must now be given time to pay off.
We now have a scanner in the port that is fully functional, except for a short period of time in the last few weeks when it was down. The infrastructure work on another scanner is going in, and we expect that that'll be in place very shortly. The Prime Minister has given instructions to the port to work with the Ministry of Finance and other agencies to see about investing in a third scanner. Those are important initiatives, but they're initiatives that will bear fruit going forward. They will help to stem the tide of firearms coming into Barbados.
And continuing with government's efforts to tackle lawlessness, tougher laws are coming to govern the operations of jet skis and other watercraft. Minister of Maritime Affairs and the Blue Economy, Kirk Humphrey, says some jet ski operators have been engaging in unacceptable conduct, including abuse of tourists, their fellow Barbadians, and even against each other. Minister Humphrey says while there are plans to train operators, it has also become necessary to revisit the shipping and water sports regulations.
You can only revoke a license of a person with a jet ski clearly in the law for two offenses. If it is manslaughter caused by the jet ski or the watercraft, or if it is a case where the person is convicted of repeated offenses. I feel that we have to review that. We have to make it very clear. I think in applying for a jet ski, there has to be clearer rules, and that we have to find a way to continuously monitor what is occurring on the seas, but the word has to be enforced. When we must enforce the legislation as it stands, and when we make the amendments, we must enforce that legislation as well.
The media briefing also included an update on police investigations into the disappearance of missing American visitors Oscar Suarez and Magdalena DeVille. The couple was last seen on June 24th after renting a jet ski from an operator at a beach in Holetown, St. James. The jet ski was found 12 days later floating off the coast of Guadeloupe by French Navy officials. Now, Commissioner of Police Tyrone Griffith says the force has been receiving outside help with its investigations.
With the assistance of the FBI, we've had investigators looking at the jet ski itself. We've had samples taken from the jet ski and examination of the engine and the body, and we're waiting results on the outcome there.
And one update to yesterday's media conference, Lisa. Forensic information has now concluded that there was no trace of accelerant on the clothing of 44-year-old British visitor Natalie Critchlow, who died after being badly burnt at the house where she was staying. This is according to the latest information reaching the CBC, and it comes after the Commissioner of Police, during yesterday's media briefing, indicated there was no evidence to suggest the woman was murdered or that someone broke into the house. He addressed the case after rumors and a report in the international press suggested that Ms. Critchlow was in fact murdered. Lisa, back to you.
A local charity is playing a key role in helping some parents to ensure their children are ready to return to school come September. Our Ryan Broom has the details.
Minister of People Empowerment and Elder Affairs, Cynthia Ford, has lauded the work of the Eden Lodge Youth Charitable Trust, which she says has been consistently helping to impact the lives of families in need. Speaking during a special book presentation ceremony at the Cloister Bookstore, which is one of the contributors to the Trust's efforts, she says the intervention of the Trust at this critical back-to-school time is therefore very important.
I went to purchase some school clothing earlier in the day, and it is terribly expensive, especially for parents who are unemployed or who are working for small amounts of money or only have seasonal employment. And to make it even worse, for parents who might be missing, or children who might be missing a father or a mother. And so I take my hats off to grandparents and aunties and uncles as well, godparents, who like to help to fill in at times. And I'm sure that what the Eden Lodge Charitable Trust is doing will help to bring an element of joy, satisfaction, comfort, and pride into the hearts of those families and the children who are the beneficiaries.
And the minister also had some advice for the young people receiving the books.
I want you to treat those books as you would treat your most beautiful dress or outfit or pants or shirt, whatever you call it. When you're reading the books, make sure your hands are clean. Ensure that the table is clean. Ensure that whatever you do with the books, that you care them well.
Meanwhile, President of the Eden Lodge Youth Charitable Trust, Dwayne Grisette, says the trust has been able to impact the lives of more than 350 families. He adds that they have been especially pleased to see how many of the children who have been assisted by the trust going on to improve in their studies significantly.
For the ones in secondary school, we have seen a higher graduation rate of a lot of those students now graduating and being able to go and get good jobs, getting certificates at CXCs, and some of them going on to the Polytechnic, some of them going on to BCC to do different programs, the music program and different programs. Some of them, we have some of them are getting skills, and it is helping to alleviate the poverty and also the crime situation in Barbados, because we believe that by doing this and educating children out of poverty, right, is a good thing.
Now, in addition to the Cloister Bookstore, a number of other businesses and entities also contributed to the initiative, including C.O. Williams and several others. Ryan Broom, CBC News.
Well, it's hard work, but go for it. And that's the advice which the Queen Elizabeth Hospital's intern for the year 2018 to 2019, Dr. Mohamed Salou, is sending to Barbadians who are interested in studying medicine. Rianne Phillips was there and filed this story.
Dr. Mohamed Salou can boast of having his name on this plaque and being the best intern of the 2018-2019 cohort. But his journey has not been a walk in the park.
Lots of sleepless nights, and it's true. There were a lot of sleepless nights, lots of hard work, and the reality only kicked in, the difference between a medical student and an intern, when you realize that you're no longer sheltered behind your seniors and you're actually the first point of contact with patients, and that was a real shock.
He's given this advice to those contemplating medical studies.
If you're interested in medicine, just go ahead and do it. It's really worth it. It's a very enjoyable field with a vast variety of specialties, and there's so much you can do for medicine. So just keep your head straight and just go for it.
It was also celebration time for 4 females who received prizes for being outstanding interns. There are Dr. Daniela Eswick, Dr. Kimberly Banfield, Dr. Tyra Waif, and Dr. Elsa Ruth Arthur. For Dr. Eswick, the daughter of former St. Philip West MP Dr. David Eswick, family and peer support were key.
It was extremely difficult, but it was still fun at the same time, especially because to me, we were one very close-knit year. We all leaned on each other. Without each other, I don't think we would have gone through this. But the experiences that we gained were priceless, honestly. I had a great mentor. You know, he was with me throughout it all, taught me what to do, what not to do, still let me make my own mistakes and learn from them. But without him, it's not possible either. So thank you, Daddy.
Dr. Tyra Waif says being among the top performers is bittersweet.
For me, is surreal. This is something that I can't say I expected, but I'm very pleased about it. It's something that I wish I could share with my mum, who recently passed this year. She was the one that was always behind me. Sorry, I might get teary. But I'm very proud to make her proud, even though she's not here right now. It's something that I worked extremely hard throughout the last year, and everything that happened, I was there for her, but I still had to do my work.
These young professionals have their eyes set on advancing their studies in different medical fields. Rianne Phillips, CBC News.
Well, the one-song format for the Pick of the Crop competition has the full support of Calypso King William Classic Waith, but he wants back the semi-final leg of the competition, which was missing this year.
It will add another layer in terms of filtering, in terms of getting a better finals. I think if you have a semi-final, then you can eliminate even further and look for a better crop of people for the finals. But I understand it was a financial issue, so they were cutting costs so they can spend more money on the finals. So from that perspective, I understand I can concede there. But I would like to see a semi-final going forward. But if it's a factor of money, well, we will have to understand that.
And Classic was speaking to the media as he collected his winnings in the form of a $100,000 check from the National Cultural Foundation. The presentation was held at Courtesy Garage, sponsors of the show. The Calypsonians had the option this year of a Nissan X-Trail sponsored by the Garage or the cash. 100 squeezed into the Sea Rocks Dome last weekend as many Barbadians and visitors refused to let the crop over season go. Golden Soca was a huge hit among a more mature crowd. Our Shane Jones reports.
Golden
Soka was rocking from top to bottom with a fantastic lineup and Admiral as MC. Some of the hottest acts of Crop Over 2019 were there. Lead Pipe, TC, Skung Young, Ramesses, and Lil Rick. Well, some big performers added to the night as well. Mr. Blood was there, Allison Hines, Red Plastic Bag, and Peter Ram, to name a few. Smokey Burke showed that he was still able to put down a big live performance. And of course, people came out to see some of the big names from the years gone by. Ronnie D sang his 1983 hit, It's a Paradise. And who can forget Bongo's Take It or Lump It? Golden Soka's managing director Peter Boyce says Golden Soka 2020 will be amazing.
We would have been starting an event for 2020 even before this event, because that's how far we plan ahead. So we have been planning for 2020. We think it's going to be a big year for Barbados, and we intend to make Golden Soka even bigger and better in 2020. We've been combining our heads together, and we're looking at how it is that we can put together the best cast that's going to make Golden Soka 2020 one of the best Golden Sokas you have ever seen, and it's going to be a credit to Barbados in the fact that 2020 will be a big year for Barbados, and we're going to help to contribute to some of that greatness.
Barb's president Marlon Rice Boyne was also partying. She says hundreds of their members came out and gave the event a full endorsement. Brenda Sherry is a Barbadian living in the Cayman Islands. She's already hyped about Crop Over 2020.
I am pretty sure that Crop Over 2020 is going to be the bomb or even better. I just want to encourage all Barbadians who are far and wide, Canada, England, Cayman Islands, wherever, just come home for Crop Over 2020.
Shane Jones, CBC News.
News from across the region now, and Trinidad and Tobago's Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley does not believe he made the wrong call when he reinstated former Port of Spain South MP Marlene MacDonald to his cabinet despite an ongoing police investigation.
Given the events over the last week or so, some have questioned if this is one of the lowest points in the People's National Movement's history. But if you ask the Prime Minister, the charging of Marlene MacDonald is not a smear on the party, but rather confirmation that the corruption-busting promise this government gave is coming to fruition.
Feel good about it. This is how it is supposed to happen. That is what you want, and when I say we are building a new society, that is what the new society is to expect. It's working.
But the Prime Minister continues to reject the suggestion that he shoulders blame for reinstating Mrs. MacDonald in light of serious allegations, and acknowledged that a police probe was launched into Mrs. MacDonald's conduct.
You were saying that maybe enough was said around that person that the person should not have been considered. But I said then, when I brought back Mrs. MacDonald the last time, I said, if new information turns up, then I will act. And that did not happen until last week.
Despite calls from union leaders, the Bahamian government says there will be no increase in the minimum wage at this time.
While admitting that the cost of living has increased as a result of the increase in value-added tax, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance Peter Turnquist said the government is not considering increasing minimum wage at this time. His comments follow complaints about the high cost of living in the Bahamas, considering the 60% increase in value-added tax from 7.5% to 12%.
So the government has not given any detailed consideration to that matter at this point. I know that there is a feeling in the public that there ought to be some adjustments to the minimum wage. We, of course, know that there has been some increase in the cost of living as a result of the increase in the value-added tax, and the inflation rate shows that. But the trend also shows that that is evening out. And that, as we expect, and that over time it will start to normalize.
However, on Tuesday, Labour Minister Dion Folk said the matter was being actively discussed.
There is a discussion at the tripartite council level, but there hasn't been any definitive recommendation from the council at this point.
In 2015, the government raised minimum wage from $150 per week to $210 per week. Turnquest said before the government considers raising that minimum wage, they must first take into account the effect it will have on local business.
Guyana's economy has grown by 4% in the first half of 2019 thanks to the performance of several sectors. And this is according to the Minister of Finance, Winston Jordan, during the ministry's mid-year report presentation.
This compares extremely favorably with the revised growth rate, half-year growth rate for last year, which was 5% last year. But as you will recall, in 2017, go back a little bit, the half year of 2018 would have been measured on the half year of 2017. And if you do recall, in 2017, that was not a very good year for us. The entire whole year's growth was 2.1% for 2017. And I believe at the half year it was barely 0.9 in 2017, if I remember well.